Thank you. Since we all know that we are here to hear all your comments, I would request Mr. Montezemolo to, first of all, thank you, and share with us being a successful and influential businessman, a global business leader, chairman of Italia, you've been the chairman of Ferrari, and your influence and experience is very valuable. What are your views on what can business and your network do to make this change happen?
Thank you very much. First of all, thank to my friend Marcelo Sanchez Sorondo for the invitation. Let me tell you that this is not my first presence. I've got the honor and the privilege to be here even before, and I hope this is not also the latest one, but I can tell you that every time I'm in this room, when I go out, I have more motivations, more ideas, and so we are lucky to have the privilege to discuss today of such an important, a key, super key question for us, but maybe even more for our children and the future generation. You know, as an Italian, sometimes I think I have the suspect that when we talk about sustainability, somebody can think this is a slogan, I don't want to say advertising or fashion subject. No, thanks God, no. This is a key issue. And I have to say that Pope Francis has done a very important contribution with the encyclica Laudato Si, because I think that for this encyclica can give you us the main reason to work, to give our contribution, despite we come from different experience, different rules, different countries, different responsibilities, but to put the man at the center of the world. And the man has a responsibility for the world. I don't want to, in front of people that is far more expert and for concentrated on these activities, I don't want to talk about sustainability, because if it's like then I was in Ferrari, somebody comes to me to talk about racing cars or technology or, I don't know, car production. So, but I want to call your attention in my position of the chairman of the organizing committee for the bid of Rome Olympic Games in 2024. First of all, I hope that each of you will support Rome for this bid, but apart from this, I think that the relationship between sport means not professional sport, not the aggressive sport, but sport and ethic, sport and sustainability is really crucial and important. I think that sport is still one of the major reasons to give children the possibility not to spend time in the street or in very bad environment, but to do something to enjoy with sport, despite sport is not an aggressive or professional or super agonistic kind of sport. I think that we are in front, when we talk about Olympic Games, are the biggest festival of sport in the world. We have thousands and thousands of athletes coming from all over the world. We have sport as an instrument of peace, because we have people coming from countries that maybe normally they don't have a fantastic relation, but sport covers everything. And we try to organize the Olympic Games in Rome. Of course, Rome is culture, Rome is beauty, Rome is Rome. But this is not enough. I think that to organize such a big worldwide event, sport venues, good towns, good organization, good style of welcome, and we have the passion of welcome in Italy, is not enough. It's important, but it's not enough. What we want is to approach this event as maybe the first and largest sustainability event in the world of the sport. Because now we are in condition to start from the grass, from the white page of the project. So it means to have a very clear the priorities. And we have a dream, but not a dream. We have a goal. Dream is easy. Words are easy. Announce are easy. We want to organize an event with zero, in my previous job was emission, CO2 emission, but with the largest sustainability goal. And this is realistic. This is not just an advertising announce. But this means three things: commitment, know-how, commitment and determination, know-how, and to involve the best people, the best person in the world on this specific goal. And beside this, I was, of course, really impressed by the first video, and I have to make the congratulations for this video. And if you are so kind to give me a small present, I will be very happy to have this video for my children. Because, you know, we live in a society in which the children, at least my children, are so lucky that it's important to give them the possibility to touch with their own hands somebody that is far, far less lucky. So apart from this, I think, to make the story shorter, that together with sustainability, that is important, because you have to consider that whoever will organize the Olympic Games in 2024, they will be under the lights of the world. And can you imagine, between now and 2024, what the world will do? The speed of the world, 8 years, it looks like 50 years ago. So we are running very, very fast as our athletes. So we have to be very, very, very committed since now in the bid to put together with culture, beauty, good organization, festival of sport, sustainability, not as a publicity announce, but with something that we want to deliver. And together with the video, I think this is very important that events like this put also at the center the men and the capability to say in every kind of construction, in every kind of company that will work to build a lot of venues, we have clear, transparent way to demonstrate no slaves, no third-class kind of work. The transparency has to be not only in the budget, not only in the money, but also in the way you build up such a big event. Because this for sustainability, an event like Olympic Games can represent a huge, huge promotion, a huge way to show that it's possible to organize such a big event, not in words, but with fact, with the men and the women, of course, at the center. So I don't want to enter to ask you too much of your time. First of all, thank you for the invitation. Thank you to give me motivation when I will come out from this room to have even more determination and ideas to achieve the goals. And thank you for your commitment in this not important, crucial item of the present and the future of the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It was very, very useful. Especially it's heartening to know that Olympic 24 is going to be totally Goal 8 compliant and no slavery, focused on climate change. Thank you. Mr. Marcus Fang, with all your experience as litigator, you've been awarded one of the highest awards, you've written books on it. What would you like to share with us in 3 minutes with the rest of the panelists and the rest of the group that would help us, please?
You know, it's always a great challenge to have a lawyer, particularly an American one, try to say anything in 3 minutes. Sorry. I think what I'd like to do is just comment on some of the comments both Ronnie and Luca made, which are the shift from sort of having something from a marketing perspective to say about we're trafficking free, we're forced labor free, we're child labor free, to actually making it a reality. And in that regard, I think there's been a remarkable shift, particularly in the US, but also in the UK and I think globally, towards, again, going from a slogan to a meaningful business imperative. And when Ronnie and I first met, I was thinking, well, you know, we should set up within my law firm a corporate social responsibility and supply chain compliance program. I'm sure other firms have that. It's a great idea. And it turned out that I ran up against a lot of sort of skepticism from other lawyers saying, well, isn't that sort of a patronizing idea? You know, telling our you know, companies that we represent that they need to have help in this area. I mean, isn't that sort of a given that all companies do the right thing? And as it turns out, we were able to get the program off the ground, and we work with Roddy, we work with a lot of big companies, and it is not, in fact, a given at all. And that's one of the big, I think, realizations that we made. And I came to this as a former federal prosecutor, as a State Department attorney who worked in Kosovo after the conflict, trying to fight trafficking there. But what we see today, that shift, and this is sort of my thought of the day, is that the shift that we see in the corporate world, the new laws, in the U.S., California Transparency and Supply Chains Act, we have the Federal Acquisitions Registry that has been amended so that no government contract can have none of the products that the government purchases in the U.S., largest purchases of goods and services in the world, can have the taint of trafficking. And then also the UK Modern Slavery Act. I think it's a change that we're going to see expanding. Again, what was once a marketing add-on is going to become a business norm and a business imperative.
So here we come to you, and what Unilever is doing and what you're doing for Unilever and the world is really, really amazing. And for women empowerment, what you are doing, would you like to share your experiences and knowledge with us?
Thank you very much. Good morning, and thank you, Monsignor Marcelo Sanchez-Oronzo and Jafar, for calling us today. I'm really humbled and touched by the stories and the pictures that make 1,000 words, you know, present with us. So I'd like to start with a clear understanding that there is no business case for modern slavery and forced labor. Just to make it sure that there is no business case. And actually, while there is a business anchor in the trafficking of individuals, the reality is that no responsible, sustainable business wants to be involved on that. And there's no just words, it just makes actual sense when you look in the way that we would like to see business done. So I was asked today to come up with 3 ideas, and what we would like to share is that, you know, transparency is at the core of what we need to do. If there is no transparency, we are not going to get the job done. One of the elements of human trafficking I would like to address today is the migrant labor. And when you look into the state of the world today, political, economic, and financial, environmental crisis, people need to move, and they are searching for jobs. And they are at the most vulnerable conditions. And whether we are talking about refugees coming from Syria, going through Turkey, you know, they are working in the farms. Leaving the kids in the camp base is more dangerous than really going and putting them to work. So we have many issues that they are interconnected. So one of the first things that I would like to address, a potential, you know, effective implementation, is what we call the DACA principles. The DACA principles are human rights principles that were set up to really enhance the respect of the rights of workers when they are migrating from different countries and or geographies. And it's very simple. It says no fees charged to the workers. The contracts needs to be clear and transparent. There has to be inclusiveness in both policy and procedures, making sure that the laws in the country of the region are the protections are fully applicable to those workers, that there are no holding of passports or IDs, that wages are paid directly in cash and to them and with all the benefits that they deserve, that there is a right for representation, that working conditions are safe, that living conditions are safe, that there is access to remedy, and that there is freedom of change of employment, that they are not locked into a contract. and making sure that there are guarantees of the freedom of movement. If you think about this just basic principle, business can do this. When you engage with suppliers in your extended supply chain, you can really ensure and look into this, but it's not so transparent. So therefore, there is a current body of work in terms of responsible recruitment. So what are those conditions that business should engage with to ensure that when they contract throughout their supply chain, those principles are respected? Government to government. I think that there is a void of activity. There is a country that is sending workers overseas or citizens overseas, and another that is the host country. And there has to be an interaction and certain, safeguards so workers have the ability to be protected of vulnerable conditions. A very examples that we have seen in the 90s in Japan, in the garment industry, where Chinese workers were going into the Marianas Islands, or 10 years later in Jordan, when the free trade zone was established, and all the due diligence was done at that point. The free trade agreement looked into the laws, but there was one small, simple, omission. There was not a ready workforce to really operate in the place. So just in order to implement that free trade agreement, you needed to import labor. And those companies and those businesses that really look into the conditions of importing that labor were able to preemptively prevent the abuses. So it can be done. So in terms of frameworks, two elements I would like to call out. Unilever is working as part of the Consumer Goods Forum. And in the Consumer Goods Forum, very recently, 50 very large organizations. Recently, we established as our social mission to work for the eradication of forced labor. So we are working together, because if a company works isolated, they may do a great job, but probably they are transferring the problem to some other person within that supply chain. So we wanted to do it together. And recently, within the World Economic Forum, we promoted and we are pushing forward the GAC, the Council on Human Rights, about what we call a shared responsibility. And it's exactly a representation of what we have here today. It's how we can work preemptively, not when we have a problem like Saipan or Côte d'Ivoire with forced child labor. What can we do preemptively when business are set up? The government wants to attract the commerce, companies want to do business, civil society want to have it in place. So what can be done ahead of time? So I will stop there. I'm really excited about the conviction and the commitment that there is around the table to really advance this. And I hope that we can make a contribution in any form to this movement.
Thank you very much. And now I come to Mr. Johan Zeiss, who's now a friend, has been a chairman of Puma, and now his way forward is to ensure sustainability in every way of life. He's also the founder of B Team. Johan, over to you, please.
I'm going to stand up as my friend Luca Di Montezemolo did. In fact, we share a board seat together on a company called Caring, which runs and owns luxury brands like Gucci, Stella McCartney, Balenciaga, and many others. And we jointly actually decided to leave the board to make room for 2 women. Because one goal that we set ourselves within the board was to have gender equality on the board level. And so it needs some men to resign, because usually there are too many men on the board. So we are jointly leaving the board in order to make room. And I do truly believe that having gender equality... No. But I do truly believe that more women in senior positions and working alongside us will bring positive change. And not that Angela Merkel and being German helps a little bit, but I truly believe that having that impact in everything we do in life is truly important. You talked about specific goals. I'd like to talk a little bit about systemic change that we knew. About 8 years ago, I wrote a book with a Benedictine monk, and Monsignor Sanchez, I can only thank you for really doing this initiative, because at the time, the public and journalists said, why would a businessman write a book with a monk? And I said, well, you know, the book was called Prayer, Prophet, and Principles. He represented the prayer, I was the prophet, and we met in the middle through principles. A monastery needs to sustain itself also financially, and business, if it wants to truly contribute to society and minimize its impact on the environment, it needs to have ethics and values at its core. And that's what actually united us. And I cannot emphasize enough how important this initiative is. At the time I was asking, where is religion, where is faith in the dialogue with business, alongside business, to try and find solutions? And we came to a lot of common ground in our book, and I truly believe that uniting religions, people that may believe in the greater universe or whatever you do believe in, we all come together based on ethics and values, and having this initiative working alongside business, with business, is going to break down traditional paradigms where business is just looking at short-term profit and religion is communicating its values and beliefs, whatever they may be. So coming together to find solution systemically, I truly believe is very important. We can do that in important topics, of course, like human trafficking. I truly believe if we want to change an economic model that is based on the Industrial Revolution, which is completely antiquated and is no longer in today's society, as Luca said earlier, feasible. If we want systemic change and want to make sure that business has a social, environmental, not just responsibility, but uses its power to solve problems, that's when we will see a paradigm shift. And together with the dialogue that you have started with the religious leaders and business per se coming together to promote a positive agenda will show change. Through the B team, we've been very actively involved in the definition of the sustainable development goals, because we felt that the environment and business needed to have a voice at the table. We were very actively involved in the climate change conference in Paris late last year, truly promoting a positive agenda and urging governments to set clear guidelines, a clear net zero impact through business in the future, so that business can rally and innovate around solutions. And I truly believe that if business rallies, and that's why we have 20 global business leaders and are creating a movement, and together with the initiative that you have started, we can really make change, because it's new. It's something that we can work together through your religious leadership, through business leadership, to actually tackle all those supply chain issues, all the business that today many consumers are not aware. When we walk through airports and we see we are tempted to buy chocolate and spirits and everything else, you can rest assured that human trafficking and slavery actually plays a role in some of those products that you can buy at every airport that all of us travel through. And making sure that the consumer is taken on that journey is very important. So I truly believe systemic change can happen, and this initiative is a great start. Thank you.